or happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us and happy holidays. This is USA Global TV and Radio, and I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network where we celebrate and encourage elevated listening skills. Our show today is presenting pet psychic Aminah, and our topic is a very interesting one: wildlife crossings, what we need to know. So let's welcome the star of our show and have her fill us in. Welcome, pet psychic Aminah. Hello.
Welcome. I'm gonna tip this down.
Oh, hello.
I have my co-mate, and I thought I'd put her here on camera for a second because the sun is shining over there. And so she's talking to the sun. I don't know if any of your cats do this, especially when you're live on anything. And we have all done so many Zooms. So I want you guys all, this is my latest rescue. This is Emma.
She's beautiful.
Emma.
Hi, Emma. Emma. Hello,
So
Emma.
now if she will now say, I've had enough attention. It's a cat.
I like her, the coloring, the markings.
I know, the stripe. Isn't that interesting? I mean, DNA, you guys, is all put together, and not one kitten like our fingerprints or cat will have the same spots or the same stripes or anything. You ready to be quiet now? Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sometimes the kids just need a little attention to be quiet. Because if I explain, I'm live, and she looked at me like, I don't know what that means.
You know, we've had a number of cats and dogs on the show because, you know, they're part of the family, and they're it's good. It's a good thing. So thanks for sharing.
So healthy. You and I both know this, which, you know, we have chosen the single life, and it is now. I have a roommate. Her name's my daughter, but she's also a grown adult, and having animals and having these types of things in your life that need love and need care. So many of us want to participate in caring for someone else. It's who we are. And Dr. Jacalyn, I mean, if anybody watches, I don't know, two of the shows, you'll see we really care. We really, really do. And all your co-hosts do. Whatever their topic is, we're sharing this information for free because it's so important. And the same thing with animals. They don't care if you showered. Really, they don't. They don't care what medication you take. And I've shared this before. I was talking to a gentleman, and his dog chirped in and said, he smells funny, but he's mine. And it was all the heart medication, probably the beer.
Yeah, the combination.
But they really, truly love us. And what we're going to talk about today is loving them back, not just our pets, but wildlife. I've worked in a wildlife sanctuary. And what does that mean? What's a sanctuary? That means these animals, where I worked was outside of Los Angeles. So we had a great deal of retired movie stars. Let me put it that way. I don't think any of the animals wanted to actually be there. We also had chimpanzees for medical research. Think about it. If somebody put shots in you and died you or whatever, your whole existence, I can imagine you kind of have probably, you know, a sick in your back going, I'm not liking people. Chimpanzees are very powerful, strong, and very intelligent. So we had an entire troop. We had over 25 in our sanctuary, besides lions, tigers, and bears. So I have a great deal of breadth of education besides being certified vet assistant, but I want to share what a lot of people are having a difficult time understanding to support, and that is wildlife bridges. What are wildlife bridges? Before I brought this topic up to do Dr. Jacalyn, had you heard of wildlife bridges? I don't know that you had.
I never heard of them until you had mentioned them to me, like a year ago or something.
But yeah, I got to talk about this. topic. I got to talk about this topic.
It's important, and the pictures are really powerful. So I'll turn it back over to you to lead us. Go ahead.
Wonderful. So what is a wildlife bridge? Right now, for the first time really that I'm seeing in all of the conversation is we're putting up roads and bridges, and our population continues to grow in the world. We are encroaching on habitats that are so fragile and or endangered. Here in California, we have a mountain lion, and it is a wonderful cat, but it travels hundreds of miles all the time, not only for food and for a place to have their babies and name it, all types of things. What you need to understand or remember about animals, wildlife specifically, is they do not overuse their resources. So birds are going to go from flower to flower to bush to seed to seed to seed. And when they go potty, the ones that are processed get pooped out. And guess how we get new plants? By these animals. You're going to get honeybees, and they're vital to anything we want to eat because they have that cross-pollination. And if you don't know about honeybees, the pollen sticks to their legs as they go into the flower. And all that pollen, then they go to another flower. Guess what? Then they drop some and they pick up some and they drop some. This is how all of this happens. Wildlife, if we're talking mountain lions in California, you're talking elephants in South Africa, you're talking whatever animal you're talking about that is native to your area, they travel for their food. The great image I can give you is just like a bird. Do you ever see a bird just sit on a tree all day long? They might, if they're sitting on a nest, and they wouldn't even do it all day long. They've got to get up and feed themselves. They've got to go get a drink of water. They've got to go get that worm that's in the ground. And they can't do it all just at the bottom of the tree. The resources won't survive. There's only so many worms and water puddles and things to get. You've got to keep going farther afield, farther afield, farther afield. Carnivores are after prey. So if it's as big as a deer or as small as a bunny rabbit, they still have to have new kill. When carnivores hunt, again, remember, coexistence and balance. So when they hunt, 99% of what they're going to catch is elderly, sick, or has an injury. They're somehow compromised to not be able to get away. It's not 100%, of course not, because it depends on the temperature, it depends on the weather, it depends on the skill of the carnivore. But what these animals do is create balance, so we don't have 9,000 bunnies and then no greenery anywhere for anybody else. It's about balance. Humans are the only one who overuse their resources. All of them, one of them, everything. Just look at global warming and everything you talk about every time you open your news or your paper. What we're trying to do now in the industry of animals is help the carnivore specifically, like the mountain lion here in California, is to be able to not only take human life, because if you hit one of these animals, is a good chance you are seriously injured. It can kill you. If you've ever hit a horse, thank goodness I've never hit a horse, but I've seen plenty of that. Not only are the horses maimed and eventually put down, usually because they're hurt so badly, and they're usually hitting the legs, but the people die and the people get injured. So we're not talking just about the convenience. We're talking about saving everybody's life, because everybody, people and animals and habitat, is that we all need a habitat. We all need the trees and the water and the rain to go on. So what are bridges that are made just specifically for this? These are wildlife bridges. When I worked at a wildlife sanctuary, it was very rural, because you can imagine if we had these types of animals, lions, tigers. I spent most of my time working with tigers. I absolutely adore them. And so I'm very fortunate to have been in a place that had, sadly, so many of them. I don't know any of the 7 or 8 that I directly had contact with that weren't ex-movie stars and came to us for that reason. So, because what do you do with a mountain lion and or a tiger or a chimpanzee once they serve their purpose on whatever that purpose is for the people, medical research or Hollywood. We had one absolutely stunning, and Dr. Jacalyn, you'll have to remind me, I have the most stunning picture of Bolero, and he loved to pose and hated being a Hollywood actor. He looks like the MGM lion, actually much better, and he's healthier, and he loved posing for pictures, but he hated working in the industry. So he was raised to do that. He was bred to do that. And once they got him involved, he was untamable in that arena. He refused to do anything. And you're that big, it's nothing you can do. So back to why these animals need bridges. And that is so that they can get from habitat to habitat. So they're not on, for example, if you have a freeway, and most of these problems are freeways and highways. These are the big troublemakers of animals trying to get across. So if you've got a freeway and you've got 6 lanes, 4 lanes, even 2 lanes, one coming, one going, you're just trying to figure out how to dodge those things that randomly go by, which we call cars. So what is happening across the United States specifically? I didn't branch out to look at the other countries for our show. And they are building bridges. And you go, well, big deal, bridges. Okay, but these are really specially built, decorated bridges. And Dr. Jacalyn, I don't know if we can get up even one of those pictures right now so people can see what I'm talking about. If you're watching us visually and not just on the audio, this is an example. So look at all the forestry on either side of these bridges. I didn't bother to bring up the states and the countries that these are all from. I really wanted you to get the concept of the bridge. So look at the freeway or highway that's going through there. In the little green area, everybody's like, well, why don't you just build a bridge? What's up with the greenery? If you are a animal and you walk across the freeway and Bob, your neighbor, got killed last week there, you probably won't come back. Also, we want it to be inviting, safe. What if it's a bunny? They're not going to want to hop across a big, giant piece of cement. This makes it great for the environment. Also, we cannot have enough trees. I'm sorry, there's just not. If you like breathing, we can't have enough trees. So these, eventually, they've got a way that they're irrigated, and then the rain comes and they get situated. It is just beautiful to behold. This is just one example. Dr. Jacalyn, do we have any of the others up? I want you to see that every state is theirs perfect. Do you see the tracks? That's railroad tracks on the other side, I believe, with the power lines and the water. So what they have created in their design is to do kind of like an oval. And they've created a walking path for humans, not just a path for animals where you've got all that greenery, So it's truly beautiful. These have become really works of art, and there's really famous ones. If you go out on the internet, you'll see that there's really, really famous ones, especially in Europe, because they've been doing this far longer than we have in the United States. But what we're encouraging is not only people to get out and walk and enjoy and be safe, but animals feel better when they have trees and bushes, so they don't worry about so much, oh, I'm walking on this hard cement ground, because they don't have a concept of cement. But what they do see is, okay, this is stable, this is strong. And look how many people in their cars can drive under there and not worry about being killed. And not worry about that, oh my gosh, a deer just ran out in front of me. And I can't tell you how many lives, both animals and people, have been lost in these terrible accidents, these absolutely terrible accidents. An animal doesn't understand. there's a car whooshing by at 75 miles per hour. Oh, jump, get out of the way. No, it's very tragic. And hundreds and hundreds of people have died a year going through this. Do we have another one? There we go. Now this, what I love about this, I tried to get you really different things, is not only is the bridge huge, so it's really, really, really beautiful as far as large, and there's so many areas there. You could actually nest a bird there, or you could actually live in the bushes. But we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes that we can see easily of traffic. So wherever this is, I can't imagine they don't have a rush hour. And this entire freeway would be back to back to back cars. If they're putting in that many lanes, that tells me that's a really busy place. But look at the beautiful landscape on either side, an island it appears on the distance. You've got all kinds of animals, the squirrels, the carnivores, the deer, possibly a mountain lion, and who knows, a badger or a beaver, or you've just got so many animals. And to create a crossing that not only encourages people, because I would suspect that what that middle walkway is for the humans to get out and enjoy nature safely also. So this is coexisting at its best. And everybody knows, whoever watches my channel, coexisting is the biggest thing I love to talk about, because I really believe that with simple changes. Now, I'm not saying putting a bridge up is simple. I was a part of some of the meetings that the city was having in the Los Angeles area as they were going around where I worked to put up one of these bridges, and just getting the legislation and getting the okay and getting people to want to spend the money. Governments are always talking about how strapped they are. Can you imagine what something this elaborate, as opposed to just a simple bridge, which is pretty expensive anyway, would cost? But what we try to really educate the politicians and the people who are voting and putting these into, besides people like us who go to the voting stands and vote for these things, is why they're so vital for everybody. We're putting in plants, we're supporting the native community, and we're giving us basically a beautiful place to walk and be, and we're saving lives. Let me really leave that with you. We're saving lives. If you've ever been in a car accident, even somebody bumped you on the bumper or whatever, I unfortunately have been in a head-on car accident. I knew it was coming. I got on the freeway, or I was getting on the freeway, so I was getting off the freeway, very busy freeway in California, and she never looked at me. How many times would you be shocked to see a deer in front of you and go, okay, now what do I do? Because you don't know if they're going to go left, right, jump on the top of the car. I don't think we know what people will do. But having personally experienced being hit head on and knowing it was coming, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And so I feel even more strongly about these bridges probably than I would as anybody else, because I've been that deer in the headlights. I never thought about it that way. I'm gonna have to write some up, deer in the headlights. I really did. I mean, isn't that amazing that you go, wait a minute, there's an epiphany for me. I was the deer in the headlights.
In the headlights, you were.
Because I've got a 18-month-old and a 4-year-old in my car. And I know they're in their car seats. Please, God, please be in their car seats, because children wiggle. They wiggle, 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 wiggle all over the place. And they're going, ah! And luckily I had a brand new van. And the lady gets out of her car. The first thing she said is, oh my God, I never saw you. Yeah, really? You never looked at me. I never got her eyes. You know, if you're looking and you're driving, you get your eyes. But if you're expecting a deer, probably not. And I was leaving a really rural elementary school, really, really rural. And so it was one of the charter schools. And so it was something that was really off the beaten track. But we were still getting on Highway 101. And if you know California, it's a really big freeway.
That's a big freeway.
It's a really big freeway. Yeah, it goes to LA, goes to San Francisco, but it has a lot of rural sections. So
I think it's 6 lanes each side, isn't it?
On the big cities at minimum. If you go all the way to San Diego, you're going all the way to LA, and then you're going all the way to San Francisco. Yeah, you got many, and we only had 4, 2 on each side. But the problem is sometimes we get distracted, and there was nothing I could do. Because I knew, having taken all those driving classes, that I needed to just get as straight as I can. Now I got as close to the guardrail as I could. I figured, brand new car would be damned. I was going to rip off all that paint and thing because it meant she would only hit me. My kids were in the middle, in those seats. Do you have all this time to think about it when a deer jumps out at you? No, it's all gone.
You know what? I want to ask you something about these wildlife crossings. We have 2 more pictures, but for example, like this one, which is really cool. Okay,
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful. I can see how animals would naturally see this as a way to cross over.
Exactly, they're making it easy.
But now on this one, okay, I don't see it as easily because you were mentioning that people can cross. On this one, I don't see people. I mean, I guess you could, but
so
this.
I love that you brought this up.
Okay,
this is perfect. This is why we work so well together. Because in the one, I'm trying to point at the picture. How silly. Okay, pretend everybody can point at the picture. So if you'll see, there is a paved walkway that goes in between the bushes and the plants.
Yes, I see that.
So this is for people.
Animals
don't need paved walkers. It is encouraging. They will take them. They will choose those, because who would do that over rocks and dirt? Yes.
Right.
Yeah, let's choose that. So, but this tells me this is a place, because if you look all the way down at the very closest part of the picture, there is a little handrail before they get up on this to go across where the tracks are. This tells me this is somewhere in a park or at the edge of a park, like a national park or a city park, where they've made it, because there's a lot of cut grass down there at the bottom.
Right.
It looks like it, or it's late, or middle of the fall season, and it just doesn't grow very much. But for fire reasons, it looks like it's trimmed, and those bushes are very scattered very specifically. Having done city landscaping, I'm kind of like, yeah, this was man-made, and that's okay, because they did it very naturally. They spread it out. They didn't put lines and bushes like you would at a house. But the reason I added it, and I love that you caught on. That is so great. This is made for people to get across that, with the caveat, if we have all these beautiful bushes, the animals will come when the people are not there. So you'll see, how many times have you been, I don't know, you do a lot of hiking, walking, I know how busy you are. You've got to see squirrels and the neighbor's loose dog, or I don't know,
lizards,
if you see wild
iguanas, egrets.
Yeah, yes, there you go. Yeah, so if you know, and I mean KNOW, big, bold, know that you're going to attract, with the greenery alone, other wildlife, then it seems logical. It seems logical to me that you would plan for all of those things to enjoy your bridge. So when we now, and you and I, when we were little kids, pigeons and pooping all over us, and Disneyland and everywhere, parks everywhere, was just, it happened. It happened. Now they've got canopies, they've got pigeon netting, they've got all kinds of things where people don't want to be pooped on. So if you don't want an animal there, accommodate what their natural proclivity is to be there. You made a lot of pretty bushes. I'm going to be there. Even cement. People feed pigeons in parks. Why? Because pigeons are always there. They figured out we're food junkies. We always have food. So if you're going to not feed the pigeons, you're going to put things there, like they have the plastic spikes now that they put along different railings. I don't know if you've seen these. They're little rows, and they make them plastic. So people are like, oh my gosh, they look like spikes. But they actually adhere to like the top rails of fencing, because people are like, okay, you're killing me. Quit pooping on my house, my this or whatever. Chimneys, I know they put in ways to cut them off. We had a chimney as a kid, and all of a sudden we'd hear a bird come down, and they didn't know how to turn around and come back. We had to hire something. Oh, it was a mess. So they create a closing where the smoke can leave, but the birds can't get in, and the little bugs can't get in. So these little spikes are little plasticky things, so they bend easily if the bird bumps into them, and they go, oh, that's uncomfortable. I can't fit here. I can't fit here. So we are really coming up to realizing we can accommodate the thought process, not only in each other, which your whole platform deals with, is communicating better. And that's what I'm talking about every single day, every single Friday we talk, is how do we communicate better with the natural world? Do I want you to plant plants? Absolutely. I've talked 100 million times about how I'm in a condo now. No yard. Yet you can't get in my front door in the 10 steps without a plant on each thing, because I find joy in them. But I also have in this office this really pathetic ficus. And if anybody knows, these are great, great indoor plants. I bought them for 79 cents when it's this big. Because my kids had just barely been born. So we kind of can date him. But he is the most pathetic Charlie Brown tree you've ever seen. But I don't give up on him. And I don't want you to give up on finding that there are better ways to interact with wildlife. If you walk away from my show every week with anything, it's the fact that coexisting is really as simple as I'm trying to make it out to be. You put little plastic things on the edges. You don't like that look. Okay, find pop rocks. Find something that crackles. I have put out strips of foil and bunched it up, because it'll create little sharp edges, and you get these little birds with little light feet. You're going to get a hawk or an owl or any of those types of things on such a small area. And they go, oh, yeah, no, this isn't comfortable. That's all I'm asking. And that's what the bridges are doing. And what I really want people to walk away understanding is to please, now that you understand what they're for, why we're spending the money on the landscaping, and these fancy bridges can be a round or circle. And, we just showed you a couple of different designs. You can go online and see hundreds of different designs from hundreds of different countries now. It's very, very popular because people are getting to enjoy these bridges also. Not just living through driving on a freeway or driving on a highway or a rural road, but they're also getting a chance to walk over them also. Now, if you're going to walk on one of these bridges that pretty much was intended for wildlife, Dr. JACALYN, do you think that would be safe?
No, I don't think so. I want to share, just while we're talking about it, so people can see that this is another one, which is really kind of cool as well.
Yeah, look how big it is.
It's enormous.
Yeah, because they're looking at people enjoying themselves and wildlife being safe.
What do you think those things are on the side, the blue things? See them in the front there?
Yeah, I do. I think they're either part of the light structure and or they are an information, how they put the information boxes.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. It's for the drivers.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And they're, you've got your signs. Hey, you're coming up on 1st Street, 10th Street. You're going to get the signs on the side of the road. But look how just seeing the blue, and then if you look down on the road itself, you'll see another blue one.
Yeah, I see it. They match.
Yeah, exactly. But look how it blends in beautifully.
Yeah, this one I've showed before, but I just
Mhm.
am amazed. And part of the reason I'm amazed is if you look at the trees on either
Mhm.
side, the ones in the middle, they look like they've been there for a long time because you know how long it takes for a tree to
Oh
grow.
gosh, yes.
So I don't know how old this is.
Well, there are nurseries that do this specifically.
Ah,
Grow things, and you get to buy them after they're 10 years old.
okay, that's so
Because
cool.
imagine, think of, for example, a big company like Disney. They're gonna have their own nursery, of course, but they're gonna be starting these trees as saplings or mid things, or somebody is out there growing them, and so that they have that 5-year old, 10-year old, 20-year old tree. Because all these big parks, city, Disney, whatever, amusement, that's the word I want, amusement parks, whatever, they they don't want to plant trees. And everybody says, well, this isn't very nice. And I don't know what it's going to be. People don't wait. People who are going to look at these bridges and say, oh my God, that's where my tax dollars went, because this is really what it's about. It was a really big hard sell for the first few. I did a paper on this in college. The first few wildlife bridges had a really tough sell, because they had no data. They had no data to say this is better. They had the science, but if you're pro animal already, no city wants to spend money on something you can't prove, right? It's just the way the world works. So now we have 20, 30 years of proof. And in the beginning, what they had to do is they would take paths that the animals use already, that they created, the animals created. Because you can go out in the wildlife and you can kind of see these natural paths where the plants kind of grown on the side. And that's where many, many animals use to transverse from one place to another. And they all think it's great. So they all use it, and it's safe. And they've created their own little walkway. That's the science that the animal science community and the construction community working together saying we can save lives. Because really, in California specifically, that's what sold it on the ballot. Getting people to vote to put in these bridges, and the money was because somebody who had had a head-on collision with for a family member who died or was maimed horribly, they went public and said, this didn't need to happen and we didn't know that. Now we're trying to educate people and say, nobody needs to die on the freeway. Sure, it can happen with car to car. We're not talking about that. We're talking about wildlife and humanity. How do we coexist and understand that animals move about differently than we do? They quantify safety different than we do. Is it wrong? Absolutely not. Nobody's wrong. If you're afraid of the dark, I honor that completely. I don't have to be afraid of the dark, but I can be afraid of something else and go, oh, I'm afraid of that. I can imagine how scary being in a dark place must be when you don't know where anything is. If you don't speak English and everybody but keeps telling you what to do, I have the perfect example, totally in topic, off topic. So I have family in Iran, but my Farsi was nearly zero. And I was staying there for the summer with my in-laws and my family. And my brother-in-law said, oh, here, can you give mom and my mother-in-law a ride home? I said, oh yeah, no problem. I driving on the roads is perfectly fine. And then my mother-in-law starts screaming at me. Of course, she's talking so fast. I have no idea what she said. So we get in the house and she tells my brother-in-law, and Dr. JACALYN, can you imagine what I did? What did I do wrong on that road?
I would like to have multiple choice. I like to have multiple choice.
I set you up. It is A, B, or C. Okay, what would be the worst thing to do on a regular flat road in a city? Tehran is huge. It's like LA, okay? grew up half hour out of LA. So it's just like LA. I figured I got this, stay over here, stay over there. And I didn't have a problem driving on the other side of the road, whatever it was, but they don't have that. So what did I do that my mother-in-law literally came unglued, who's a very calm, collected little teeny person.
You did one of those things where people get out of the car and then they run to the other side. Everybody switches seats.
She might have if she drove. No, I didn't understand the sign. And I went against the one-way street.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Not one car came by. So I never got a clue what she was yelling about. Because they would have, come up in front of me because it was 2 lanes.
Right.
And so I was going in the one-way lane. Okay, people, we all do it. So that's why animals need the trees and the bushes to hide when they go against what we think is logical. Okay, they're speaking another language. They really are. And some of us can read it, but even some of us get it wrong.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
When you're in another country.
I just want to say hello to a couple of people. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining us again. We're happy to have you. And a new person, I went and looked it up. Her name is Joanne. She's in our private group there on Facebook. Thanks for being with us, wonderful. Joanne. Very nice. So, yeah. So I think that it's fascinating that there are these wildlife crossings. And again, as I mentioned, I wasn't aware of them until you shared that with me. So once again, bringing back education.
You made my whole day.
And the fact that you brought the pictures, that really helps put it into perspective. So if we had more areas like this that had these wildlife crossings, I think it would be just phenomenal, just amazing.
Well, and what's the biggest thing, especially for your platform? What is the biggest thing that you are accomplishing?
Another test question?
No, no, it's a cheer you on flower question of information.
Yes, education.
You are releasing with every one of us, with all your co-hosts, with all the material you talk on, is information. And it's things we want to know, things we'd like to know, things we'd love to laugh with. I mean, I'm working with animals. How depressed? Somebody's like, oh, you must be depressed. How would that happen? I just go hug a cat.
Yes.
Go walk in the
cat she is, by the way.
Yeah, and go walk in the plants. And this doing more nature, which all the world right now understands, we are truly living our choices. We decided we loved chemicals. We decided we wanted plants. And I mean plants with the spoke and the towers. We wanted these types of things. Having the resources to put up these bridges properly and understand it is not just people that will be affected, benefited from these bridges. Remember, we live in a world. World is round. There's no cliffs, no edges. We all matter. Even the mosquito. Don't understand it. Anybody want to talk about it? I still don't understand it. But I understand all the arachnoids, all spiders, the snakes, all of these things. I have been bitten by a snake. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't poisonous. So I was fine. Everybody around me kind of freaked out because I happened to be showing it to a group of children, luckily not little ones. And everybody freaked out. It's like, he's biting you. And it's like, I know. I'm going to go take him over here. Because the worst thing is to panic. So I'm asking everybody to learn happy things and to know that these bridges are stunning. The cities finally figured out that they needed to pay for things that looked like parks, not just more bridges and more bridges and more towering buildings. The buildings they are building, they're putting in reinforcements. They're putting in circular heat air that is more environmentally friendly. We can do so much better. We just started out on a very selfish kick when we decided to take over the world. And I'm encouraging you to say, it's really easy to put out a flower. If you don't like plants, that's okay. You don't need a litter. You could pick up litter. You could not stick your gum under tables. Do people still do that? I think they probably do. But
I don't even know if people chew gum anymore. I see that they still sell it, but yeah, we're
yeah, but
just
I don't see it under tables. Not that I'm looking, but I was sitting under a lot of tables before. Like desks in school and
yes,
college.
yeah. You'd always see it was like a
Yeah, nobody's put
rainbow
any under my
collage.
dining room table lately.
Well, that's a
Wafers,
good thing.
yeah,
That's a
for
good
me.
thing. I like to hear that.
Well, and you don't realize people is like gum lasts forever.
It
I don't
does.
think it has a biodegradable factor.
It's not good for you either. It's not good for your teeth.
No, and it's not good for those of us who have jaw issues. We have lockjaw in my family, so luckily I don't have that. I have the traces of it, but I have to really be careful. Gum is not my friend.
No, we're gum free in this household, but
Yeah.
we're not lecturing people or telling them. We're just saying it's
No, just be careful out
just
there
yeah.
because it's okay to chew gum. Just don't decide to spit it out on the sidewalk because guess what? It will be there in 50 years. I promise.
It will definitely be there.
And somebody will have picked it up on their shoe and hated you forever. And you don't need that bad energy.
Ruined a perfectly good pair of shoes. Oh, Pet
There's not
Psychic,
enough motor oil in the world to get that off, is there?
you make me laugh. You are so
I
good.
hope so. I
You
hope
are
so
so
because
good.
I think people remember the
Yes,
lessons
definitely.
because I truly believe you do it with kindness. You do
Yes.
it with thoughtfulness. You try to meet people on the place that they are at,
Do it with a
not where
smile.
you need to force them to be. Because if you need to force them to be there, then it's going to be done sloppy or not at all, or with so much negative energy.
Resentment. Yes.
Who needs that?
We don't. We're about
We don't.
positive, good news, education,
Exactly.
information, hope, and inspiration. And
Exactly.
that is the end of our show for today. We are
Yay.
closing out, and thank you for another fabulous episode. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you to each and every one of you who is watching live, listening live, or on the replay. We do appreciate it. Pet Psychic Aminah's information is all here about how you can reach out to her. In addition to providing all this fabulous information, she's also a pet psychic, a trainer, and a public speaker. You can go over to bridgingworlds.us and also her Facebook group. She shares a lot of really cool things there. Go over to Facebook, just look for Bridging Worlds, and you'll find everything you need to find right there.
And you'll find all my shows with you, all right there. So really easy. And of course, go to your YouTube channel. It's amazing with all the guests you have. I love spending the time doing it. Best dishwashing moment ever. Listen to USA Global.
So USA Global TV
There
on
you go.
YouTube. All right, everyone, have a beautiful weekend. Happy holidays. Do something nice for someone else. Do something nice for yourself. And also remember, just take care of our planet. It's the only one we have. And the planet was here well before us. Let's show respect and kindness, really. That's right. What we're all about here. So thank you again. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Bye, Aminah.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Bye.